Hello there. Welcome to the Roll20 Roundtable for March of 2020. Today is March 19, which just so happens to be my father's birthday. So if everyone in chat could please wish my dad a happy birthday, I would appreciate it. And you might also enjoy knowing that he is turning 69.
Nice.
Thank you.
I think it's my dad because
oh no, I messed up
as you
our
can see,
cameras,
that
Jeff.
is my name.
I'm gonna switch us. Yeah, if only.
I'm fine.
Yeah, Kenton's camera's in the right place, but you and I have body swapped, Jeff. I'm gonna fix it.
Hello, I'm Soraya.
You look good, Soraya.
Thank you. I've been working really hard on my appearance and just I feel like I've lost a lot of weight lately. It's really great.
You look great, honestly. A+. And happy
Makes me feel
birthday
so
to your
good.
dad.
Yeah. He's 69.
Nice. Okay. All right. Now that we've got that fixed, thank you everyone for joining us. I am Soraya, the Director of Communications, now properly matched with my nameplate. My previous body snatcher is Jeff over there. If you could introduce yourself, Jeff.
Hello. I'm Jeff, a senior developer here at Roll20.
And we have...
I'm Kenton. I'm the product director, and you've seen me before, so that shouldn't be a surprise.
Yep. So, welcome. We are anticipating a slightly longer stream than usual, and we have Jeff as our special guest this week. Jeff can walk us through a couple of things. So we're going to talk about a new light, which is currently on the dev server. That is the updated dynamic lighting. And we are also going to talk about some server stuff that's been going on recently, but we will get to that in time. We're going to start with a bunch of pre-submitted questions, and then we'll answer questions in chat. So please begin asking those questions now. Our mods will collect them, and we will come back to them at the end of the stream. With one notable example. Because we are anticipating a longer stream this time, Jeff is going to step out halfway through, so you'll be stuck with me and Kenton. If you have questions about a new light or questions about server infrastructure, Jeff's your guy, and make sure you get those questions in early.
Anything that you ask too late, I will make up an answer for.
That's true. That's Kenton's primary role in these scenarios, is to make stuff up for us. I appreciate you, Kenton.
Not just these scenarios. It's pretty common everywhere.
Yes, fair enough. So yeah, we are going to take a small break in the middle of the stream when Jeff steps out, and that's when Kenton will take over, telling you inventive, creative answers that may or may not be correct. They're probably correct, though. The reason we're anticipating a longer stream is obviously there is a lot going on right now. I think Anda in chat while we were starting up said something to that effect. And we got a lot more questions than we usually do. We got almost twice as many pre-submitted questions, and that's before we even talk about chat. So let's go, I guess. As I'm sure everyone knows, there is a lot going on in the world right now, and so Roll20 has launched a new initiative we call Stay at Home, Play at Home. We are working with various publishers and creators to help make staying home a bit more bearable. Creators like Critical Role and D&D, in fact. We've released the first adventure of their Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. I've been practicing that for months, and I still get it wrong. Wildmount. Explorer's Guide to Wildmount is free for all users as of right now. And if you check in the chat, we've got that link up for you now. If you're watching the VOD later, check the Roll20 blog, because we will put it on the blog tomorrow, Friday. So we also have some other free items to get users started. Make sure you check out the blog post for that as well. The original Stay at Home, Play at Home blog post has a bunch of things that we added over the years, as well as some things that we had previously unlocked that we made available again, like maps and tokens that you can use. So, previously on the Roll20 Community Roundtable, we showed off the new custom sheet sandbox feature for pro subscribers and talked about the new custom token marker library and got to meet Kenton's turtle. Kenton, how's your turtle?
Tortoise, actually, not to be pedantic, but she's a tortoise. She's good. She is eating lettuce, and that's pretty much it.
As a tortoise does.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was last time. We have since launched the custom sheet sandbox feature and your custom token marker library. Also, you can buy custom token markers on the marketplace now, which we will get to later with a little marketplace highlight. But you can also watch the previous roundtables on our YouTube page, so check that out, youtube.com/roll20app. Link is also below me. We also have a new light. Oh my gosh, Jeff, what's a new light?
Well, it's a whole new way of doing lighting. So it's updated dynamic lighting for a whole new year. We have gotten a lot of work has gone into this thing, and it's essentially a whole new system and framework to be able to go through dungeons or be blocked by lighting lines and barriers, and have your players dynamically reveal parts of the map, and it runs all on WebGL. We're continually testing it and updating it as we go along. It launched on the dev server March 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working really hard on resolving a lot of the issues with it and increasing the feature scope and getting more of those awesome abilities that we want in the dynamic lighting system.
Yep. And it's coming out March 31st, right? Because we
yes,
moved
it
that a
is.
little bit. Okay.
March 31st. Moved it back 1 week. We had a couple other things come into play, so
I'll say on that as well, we're launching it as a side-by-side feature. So the legacy dynamic lighting and advanced fog of war are still going to be active for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And to make those easier to transition between the two, and yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a game that's currently running and it's using legacy dynamic lighting, when updated dynamic lighting goes live on March 31st, you can continue using legacy dynamic lighting for a while. This allows us a little more time to polish, and it allows you time to move your games over. It's actually pretty easy to move your games over. We will have a guide on how to do that comes out the day that it hits live launch. But the important thing to know for planning right now is if you have a game that is currently using the current dynamic lighting system on March 31st, you will still be able to use that, right? And I highly encourage you to switch over. The new system is much faster, has a lot more going on for it, but we wanted to make sure that we didn't interrupt people's game time by having a quick change under their feet. So hopefully you all check that out and enjoy it. And speaking of checking it out and enjoying it, I have a screen share ready so we can do just that. Kaping. So
dive in and take a look.
Yeah. Sorry that you lose our lovely faces for this section. But I have set up here, this is a GM view of a map in the Castle Ravenloft set. So we made Castle Ravenloft available on the dev server for all of our pro users because we wanted to make it easy for people to test out the new lighting system. And this is a great bunch of maps that has a whole bunch of lines and shadows and walls and things to play with. So we made it free on the dev server so people can just install that and test it. And we also set up a couple of tokens that they can play with. I have tweaked those tokens ever so slightly. But our three examples here, we have a Kenku who is holding a torch. Therefore, anywhere our Kenku friend moves, you can see the light around him expanding. We have an elf who has night vision, so you can see her light expanding, but she's not actually sharing light with other characters or players. She can see, but she's not casting light. And then here we have our poor little goblin friend, and this is the one who I tweaked. Our poor little goblin friend has vision, but no night vision. In the original settings, this goblin has night vision, but I turned it off because I wanted to show you all how some of this interacts. So I'm just gonna quickly reset the vision. Sorry, Jeff, you're about to say something, I think.
Well, yeah, I think it's a really cool thing we've done here in separating vision and light into two distinct things. Previously, the way you'd get night vision would be, well, I emit light, but only I can see it. And now we've separated that out. So, if you have a token, if you have a character that can see, has normal eyes, you've got normal vision. If you've got, say, an elf or, whatever it is that you want to be able to see without light around, you give them night vision there. And then
if I turn it on, you can also set how far the night vision goes out.
Indeed.
So.
Yeah, you can set that radius, and then wherever you do have sort of line of sight, as long as you have vision, if there's light there, that could be from another source, it could be from your token, it could be from other players' tokens, you'll be able to see. So separating those two has been really great in terms of the versatility of the system.
Absolutely. And if we wanted our little goblin friend to emit light, I don't, so I'm not going to turn this on. Actually, I'll show you all in a second. Why don't I instead switch over to a player view? So I have our little goblin friend who does not have any night vision, but does have vision in general. So this token can see light cast by other objects. It just doesn't generate any of its own. So let's switch over to the player view. And here's our little gobbo. Poor little gobbo here has vision, but is not near any light source. Unless I move over here, in which case Gobbo comes in range of the Kenku's light source. Yeah, and if Gobbo moves out of this range, they still have this area that they saw revealed to them. This is a big change because this was something that people really wanted, that there were a couple of complicated workarounds that you could kind of make it happen, but now it is built into the system as a core feature that this little goblin here can, walk in and out of light and have things be revealed.
It's also how the eyes work, right?
It is also how eyes work.
And light works too.
I do like it when we can align with how eyes and light work. Speaking of how certain eyes and light work, if we take our gobbo and move them down here, around where the elf is, you'll notice the gobbo cannot see the elf. And yes, I am saying gobbo instead of goblin. Deal with it. I love gobbos. But is right next to the elf, right? Like you can see that they're actually standing right next to each other. The elf sees perfectly fine. She's got night vision. She can see all around her, but she's not actually casting light. And so the goblin that is standing literally right next to her cannot see her there because the goblin doesn't have night vision. So that's pretty cool, right?
Indeed.
I think so. Yes.
I think it's heckin' awesome.
I think it's really heckin' awesome. And then now that I've messed around with that, now I can go and screw around with the token emitting light. So let's give our poor goblin friend a torch. Let's say it's a weak little torch. It's going to have 10 feet of bright light. We could stop there, but we want to have our goblin feel like they're in a really creepy place where like they can kind of see shadows out at the distance, but not really anything clearly. So I'm going to set the low light to 20 feet. These automatically get added together. Bright light is at the center, low light is around the edge. And if you scroll down, you can see the total light that is emitted from this token. So let's save that and go back to our goblin friend. And now the goblin has vision. And you'll notice, remember, they still remember these areas here, which they saw when they visited their Kenku friend. And now they can also see their elf friend because now they have a light. But you can see, if you look closely at this, Jeff,
that
Jeff, can you
light sort
talk
of
us through?
Yeah, so you see that light sort of tapering off a little bit in that from that edge of 10 feet off to the 20 feet beyond that, and so it sort of fades into the black and white, and I think there's definitely a little. We're probably going to look at that effect a little bit more, but that is fading off, but it's still revealing that area. Yeah, and you can see as we move into that other. The Kenku's sort of zone, we have like full color sight of that area while we have line of sight because that Kenku's holding a big torch. When we get out of there, we're back to our sort of dim torch that is
and can
low
you
level of light.
See things in the dim area? So our elf friend is about here.
So yeah, when you have a dim area, there'll be everything in the tokens and objects layer is going to be a bit faded, depending on the distance from the edge of light. So yeah, that will fade off in low light. If you leave their line of sight, they'll disappear completely, and it'll only show the map layer. And then as you get up close to them with full brightness, you'll get that. Nice full vision of the token and everything else in that layer.
Yeah. So, and it's easy to access, although I just accessed it wrong. Dang it. Oh, because I'm a player.
Gotta be the GM with power.
I have to switch back to the GM view. Okay, so back to being a GM. The power is all mine. So you just hit your little tokens. You hit the settings icon, this little gear. You select your token, hit the settings icon, and go to updated dynamic lighting that you see over here, and you will be able to turn it on. If you are using legacy dynamic lighting, Jeff, where would I go for legacy dynamic lighting?
We go to this advanced tab here, and we give them their light as needed, and that would be in the old system. So if we wanted them to be a kind of similar situation here, we'd be 30 feet of light.
I could do that, but it wouldn't actually
work. And then start of dim would be 20. Now, obviously, yeah, those things are not going to do anything here in the new system. The two are mutually exclusive.
If you have dynamic lighting turned on, then you cannot have legacy dynamic lighting turned on.
And so if you want to change that, you want to turn this on or turn it off, you go to the page settings. And if you select, you'll see that this is the legacy system now. If you were to select dynamic lighting or the old advanced fog of war system, that will automatically turn off the new system, the updated dynamic lighting, and fall back to the legacy system. And vice versa. If you have dynamic lighting or advanced fog of war on, and you go to updated dynamic lighting, turn that on, it will turn off the older system. The two are completely separate systems.
Yeah. And you can also, we've had some name changes. So what used to be Advanced Fog of War is now called Explorer Mode. I saw a question in chat. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, there's several different questions in chat that I was going to try to address.
You be our question in chat answerer.
Sure. So the slight quills, excuse me, thinking of vision and sight, and made me miss that L. Can you make the tokens with low light vision, or would I handle that in the dark vision option? Yes. The primary way, like night vision, is independent of any other vision, but low light vision and bright light vision are both handled with just plain vision. So if you could have a torch that just gives off, or a light that just gives off low light, and in that case you'd be able to see the low light but not the bright light, because obviously that didn't exist. And then night vision itself is going to get some aesthetic tweaks to it as well, to make it a little bit more clear what it was. We're working towards parity with the canvas, the legacy dynamic lighting, and advanced fog of war, and as such, presently it like there wasn't really a good parity between those two, because in order to do that now in the current system, you create light that only one token can see, which is logically incompatible. Which is why we've done it this way.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to our ability now to use. Well, for those in the chat who maybe are a bit nerdy about graphic stuff, we're able to use shaders now. So we have GLSL. So we've explored that fun world. So in terms of changing the aesthetics of these things, we've got a lot more ability to do really a lot of different options in terms of how things end up showing up to you. I know that probably another aspect we're going to touch on before, sooner rather than later, is darkening or doing something to the previously revealed areas to help them be more distinct. Yeah, we have a lot of power now. With this new system.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the most exciting things to me is where this can go. When we were working on promoting and talking about this new feature, and wrapping up everything that we've worked on for a very, very long time towards that, one of the most exciting things is actually something I think Slyke Wills asked about earlier is different. I have been using filters. Technically, they're shaders, and so I always go back and forth between calling them filters or shaders. But Instagram filters or Snapchat filters, same kind of idea, right? Where we tint or change or et cetera, the way that it appears. Eventually, those we'll be able to let those be selected on changed and selected on a token by token basis or on a game basis. So you could say night vision is a green tint because we're playing Delta Green and it's a military type operation, or it might be something completely different that I can't think of. Sepia tones, right? Like this is in fantasy world, your memory is an old timey photograph, and so the possibilities of what we can do become endless. So
and I saw a question from Zathos of Aricia in chat about Advanced Fog of War. Basically, will it work now? And this is the main underpinning of the new system. I'm going to take a swing at a non-technical answer here, and then y'all can correct me. And by the way, I'm using Control L right now, which is the thing that as a GM lets you see what your players are seeing. So that's why it's weirdly colored. But if I click off, I go back to my regular GM view. So regular GM, Control L. But anyway, so the Advanced Fog of War system was basically running on a different code system. Is that an accurate thing to say? No.
It's not inaccurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that pause and it's like, all right, no, not quite there. We moved them both over onto WebGL. WebGL is a system that leverages the graphics processor in your computer rather than just being limited to whatever processing your browser can do. And so they're both running on the same system, which makes it easier for them to talk to each other, and it unlocks this extra power so that if you were having slowdown with Advanced Fog of War before, we're now using more of your computer's power to be able to speed things up. So it should be faster.
Yeah, so if you have hardware acceleration, which is pretty likely, you've got WebGL on your browser, also pretty likely, then you're going to experience a lot smoother experience on the new system here. There was a lot of compute time being taken up with the old Advanced Fog of War system that we're now offloading to that hardware accelerated pipeline in WebGL. So there's a lot of improvements there. We've also made a lot of network improvements in terms of the data that we're kind of sending back and forth in order to remember, where you've been. And so that's been a really significant improvement as well. A lot of people have put a lot of cool work into.
Yeah, and I know that we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is a big system, one, and we're excited about it, too. So I'm switching us.
And three, I think, yeah.
I could talk about this for like hours.
Yeah, it's only been 9 months of work that's gone into this.
It's our baby.
Yeah, it is a it's a really cool thing. I'm really excited for it to get used, and I love hearing back from everybody about what they're doing, and yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. So the map that I just switched it to is a map that has what is now called daylight mode enabled. It was previously global illumination, just different names for the same thing. But what it means is that with daylight mode on, you don't have to go around setting up torches and stuff with individual vision in places. You can just, like, each one of your characters, each one of your players will have vision as long as there's not a wall or something obstructing them. Let's see if I did this right. Heck yes, I did. So in this case, I've set it up so that the player, which is me now, I've switched to player view, can control all of these tokens just so we can see around. But you can see that the goblin and the elf can't see.
You've got
through
to
this
switch the tab that is showing.
Right. Thank you. Switch tabs. All right, this is player vision. So the goblin and the elf can't see through this wall. It's blocked for them. The Kenku can't see through it from the other side. I think there's a door or something here. Yeah, there is. So anyway, yeah. This is daylight mode, so I haven't placed a bunch of torches around, but my Kenku can basically see all the way up to the wall, like as far as their vision radius extends until they hit a barrier on the dynamic lighting layer.
And then sometimes they hit a bug that we're working on where you can slam into a wall really hard and see past it.
We're working on it.
That doesn't happen to you in real life? Whenever I hit a wall really hard.
The other thing that I want to draw people's attention to is, so on this map here, why is it... Friends, how have I made my map grayscale? What did I do?
No, but it looks quite cool, I'd say.
Grayscale. Anyway, let's see if I switch back over here, if I get my colors back. All right. So the cool thing here is that even though you're switching between systems, your dynamic lighting barriers persist. So we already had all of these lines drawn for this map when it was created and released. Those lines don't need to be updated. We are making some code improvements on our side to make sure that the new system reads lines the way the old system did. But the long and short of it is, if you have dynamic lighting set up on your map and you switch from the old system to the new system, your dynamic lighting barriers will stay the same. You don't have to redo every single one of your maps. That said, there are some memory issues, which I'm going to let Kenton or Jeff talk about. No volunteers?
Oh, sorry. I was.
I don't know which memory issues are we talking about.
I really
when
thought
you
Jeff
switch
was
from
going to
legacy
be like,
dynamic
"Oh,
lighting to updated dynamic lighting.
Oh, okay. So actually what it is a data storage issue and not a memory issue, which I suppose could be, it is data, right? And data stored is memory in certain non-pedantic methods. I was reading in chat, trying to get ahead on questions, and that's what I get. The two systems have independent data storage, which means that revealed areas for Advanced Fog of War are not going to be revealed for Explorer mode. So if you switch mid dungeon crawl, your players won't have what was revealed in Advanced Fog of War in the Explorer mode on updated dynamic lighting. And then if you decide, we're going to switch back, then you're not going to have what was revealed in Explorer mode on Advanced Fog of War. So that's easily fixed with your reveal tool, hide and reveal tool. You can take care of that. So it's like a 2 out of 10 emergency, but we did want to make sure that everyone knew that was going to be the case. If you swap between the two different systems, they're not synchronized in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are very quite different. We're not revealing just based off of cells, grid cells anymore. We are revealing on a pixel basis of what you can see. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, which is the whole other thing I meant to mention earlier. If you look at Explorer mode, you can see that it reveals in circles according to the radius, the light radius of what was revealed. So it's not, we don't have to worry about making sure the dynamic lighting lines go through the center of the square of the grid cell that you want to reveal in order to reveal it, and it'll match with what the players have actually seen versus other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of cool updates coming down the pipeline for this. And if you are a pro user and you want to test this out, please hop on the dev server. You will have free access to the same set of maps that I am playing with. And we already set up a bunch of tokens that you can play with as well. If you are a Plus user, hang in there. When this comes out on March 31st, you will be able to play with it, like we said, in parallel with the legacy dynamic lighting. So you have to choose which one you're using. You can't run both at once, but you can, try the new system, play with it for a little while, switch back.
It is. We turned.
It is on a per page basis, so
you can use it on one page and then turn it off for another page. We found that if you did use it both systems on one page, it would create a singularity and a black hole. And
it was a hard choice, but we did decide to not do that.
Yeah.
No black holes, please. Speaking of black holes and staring into the void, so that's our demo of a new light with the updated dynamic lighting that is coming out March 31st. We will have more information for you all about it, obviously when it launches and in the run-up to launch, but the thing that I really want to make sure that everyone knows is that your games will not be interrupted if you're using the legacy system. You will have plenty of time to decide when you want to change over, and we will give you lots of heads up about it before we sunset the old system, because we will eventually retire legacy dynamic lighting, but we'll give you a lot of heads up about it. Okay. All right. Back to our faces. Hello, everybody.
Hey. I haven't seen you in so long.
Oh my gosh. I missed you particularly. I'm sorry.
We went on that grand adventure.
We did. We did
with
have a pretty nice
and...
adventure.
Strahd's castle is dark, but with a new light, you can get through it.
Oh, I like it.
Hey. Came up with that one on the fly.
There we go. I appreciate and respect it. So in other news, earlier this month, we passed 5 million users, put out a little announcement about that. Over 5 million people have joined our community and our love of gaming, and we think it's awesome. We also, recently, this past weekend, we've seen a big surge of new and returning users from around the world who are following good sense, staying in, and lowering the curve. Jeff, could you talk to us a little bit about what's been going on there and like our ongoing, I would say, process to try and expand servers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, a lot of people are following good sense and staying in, and we find that quite a lot of those folks also are enjoying spending some of that time on Roll20. An unprecedented amount, actually. So we have been able to welcome them with open arms, and our servers have been working very hard to do the same. So we spent quite a lot of time as our concurrent users ramped up to expand our capacity. We increased the just general ability of our servers to handle more folks, so we have more instances essentially.
Mm-hmm.
We've improved the database that we're running on. We've optimized a lot of our database queries. The list goes on. We have gone, I think, pretty hardcore on really expanding our ability and our capacity, and just big shout out to like the whole team who has all worked really hard, and I think done a really good job of letting Roll20 stick around and serve those of us who want to hang out and play games.
Keep in touch without touching anything.
You've probably noticed some of the notices coming up if you've been playing throughout the last week or so, and the tweets coming out about maintenance windows that we're getting ready. We're improving all of those, the server infrastructure all the time, as well as the processes that we use to keep things updated and running, so that we won't have to have nearly as many of those windows, no matter how large our community grows. So.
Yeah. I'm
That's
seeing some really nice comments in chat.
Gameplay.
Slight Quills, I'm impressed how Roll20 has stayed ahead of the surge. I haven't noticed much of a blip. think I saw another nice question somewhere around here, or a nice comment somewhere around here. But anyway, we appreciate you all, and we are continuing to work on making things better and better here. It's part of an ongoing process that we've been working on for quite a while, actually, to try and improve our capacity and putting it to the test. We've also been updating some of the look of Roll20. You might have noticed the new look on our homepage, for example, or our subscription page a couple months ago. The new look with added convenience is coming to many more places. We're going to be rolling that out across the site, so stay tuned. And now I'm going to talk about products for a while. I know that, okay, I'm just going to say here for our Pathfinder 2nd Edition friends, I'm being extremely mean to you because I have news that you very much want to hear, and I put it at the end of the list. So you gotta hang in there with me. I'm sorry. I love you. Gotta hang in there with me. So, from Wizards of the Coast, I'm so sorry, Zathos. We released Explorer's Guide to Wildmount March 17, which is this previous Tuesday. That is the setting that was created by Critical Role. It's perfect for critters and D&D fans, adventurers of all kinds. They've got a whole lot of flavor in there. They also have 4 little ready-to-play adventures, one of which is now free. D&D, Critical Role, and Roll20 all teamed up to make sure that one of these adventures would be free for everyone during this period where, again, like lots of people are having to stay at home. So if you want to try that out, if you want to, stick your nose into Wildmount and see if you like it, go check that out. We've got links in the chat for you. We also have upcoming product. The Mythic Odysseys of Theros is open for pre-order. It will launch on June 2nd. It's the next Magic the Gathering and D&D crossover. It's full of myth, magic, heroes. If you watch Roll20 Presents Jace Bellerin Must Die, which I do religiously, you've seen how much fun it is when you get to bring a Magic the Gathering setting into the D&D world. Lots of beautiful art, lots of really great storytelling and lore that you get to explore. So looking forward to that. We also have started to release the D&D Adventurers League. New episodes from Season 9 every single week. So we are going to be supporting Season 9 of Adventurers League, possibly more. We know there's a big Adventurers League community on Roll20, and we're so happy that we can be supporting them in this way. So please check those out. They will be coming out regularly. And then I threw one in here just because I like it, and I get to run this show. Sorry, I think I'm slipping off camera. Which way is back on camera? I'm sorry. I'll figure that out in a second. But anyway, Odyssey of the Dragonlords released last month. It's published by Arcanum Worlds, and the designer of it also made Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age Origins, and Knights of the Old Republic.
Those are some good games, Soraya.
They're such good games! And this thing has Greek mythology. I'm a huge nerd for Greek mythology. I'm very excited about Mythic Odysseys of Theros. I'm very excited about Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Everyone is going on Odysseys right now. It's fantastic. So,
it is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So that is that is a full, long campaign. It's beautiful. Really worth checking out if you haven't seen it.
But how do you feel about it, Soraya?
I feel okay.
Okay.
So yeah, do check that one out. I think it's fantastic. All right, now I will stop torturing you, Pathfinder 2nd Edition fans. Thank you. You've been very patient. Thank you for letting me play with your hearts. You may know that the Game Mastery Guide came out February 26th. There's a lot of cool stuff in there for Game Masters, including a bunch of new drag and drop NPCs, which is really fun. But there's more. We have 2 exciting things to announce. The first is that we will be opening up pre-orders for the Pathfinder Bestiary 2 starting tomorrow. So March 20th, 2020, you will be able to pre-order the Pathfinder Bestiary 2. Just to note, if you're using the Paizo account sync with Roll20, hold off a little bit. If you normally get a discount due to your subscriptions, you have to wait until the book is released live before that account sync is able to kick in. It's just something with how the API works. Kenton, do you understand that?
The servers talk to each other in
Jeff
certain
right
ways.
here.
Yeah. So, hi. Yeah. There's
Fair.
a bit of an oddity with how the account sync works that makes it ultimately just a lot more complicated to try and do anything crazy like this. So we have this set up to give it to you when it comes out. So hold off if you've got that subscription. Because that does not count as sort of owning it if you want that discount here.
Yeah, basically the pre-orders don't sync. So just be careful with that if you already have a Paizo subscription. It will sync as soon as everything is officially live when it launches. All right, but I said 2 announcements. The second announcement is that Roll20 will be releasing the entirety of the Extinction Curse Adventure Path. We will be debuting all 6 AP episodes on the release date of the final episode, which is in June. So you will get them all in a bunch on one day. After this point, we will be launching each individual chapter of future adventure paths on launch day with Paizo. So beginning in July of 2020, when there's a new chapter of an adventure path, it will release day and date on Roll20. And you'll get the Extinction Curse adventure path in one big lump in June. So hang in there. And for those curious about Age of Ashes, the adventure path that came out, I guess technically last year, although that feels frightening. We will be considering a back catalog release for that title, but first we want to establish our regular ability to keep up with day-and-day releases for upcoming adventure paths. Once we have that process down, we'll be in a better position to revisit Age of Ashes. So thank you all for your support and patience. Thank you for letting me toy with your heartstrings. We are excited to have more adventure content for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and we know that a lot of people have been asking about adventure paths. When we get to the pre-submitted questions, I think we had a group of like 5 or 6 that I've basically just preempted their question with this announcement. But yeah, Roll20 is going to be releasing adventure paths day and date starting in July of 2020.
Yay.
So very excited for that. And then just in general, we know that a lot of conventions recently, like in-person conventions, have canceled out of love for the community and wanting to keep us all safe. At Roll20, we'll be working together to put some information on the cons that are going virtual. So please keep an eye on our blog and social media. We'll let you know as best we can. We're doing our best to support these folks and make sure that resources are available to them. I also want to spend some time appreciating our wonderful community, and I promised that I would show you something from the marketplace for custom token markers, which is now available. So here we are. I want to shout out the Portal Packs Cartographers Guild Orclands by Mythic Portal Games. Beautiful little map set. The Isle of Lore, which is Status Icons and Token Markers by Stephen Colling. Yeah, there's a lot of them. They're super cute.
They are very good.
Them.
I will attest to that.
Yeah. Are you using them, Jeff? Or are you just excited about it?
No, I do. I actually have used these. These are really awesome.
Yay! And then if you're getting ready for Easter, we've got a bunch of generic Easter tokens by Uekami with cute little bunnies and eggs, and I think there's little chickens in there too. But yeah, very cute little set. And finally, if you are stuck inside and you want to play a game maybe not quite as involved as a tabletop RPG, we have the Board Games Deluxe bundle by Meditating Monkey. So...
fun fact.
Yeah.
More than 23,000 token marker sets have been created. Just looked it up. Yeah. So lots of those sets.
Love it. I love it. All right. So, time for questions. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, we are going to start with some questions that are related to a new light and recent server things, and then we're going to take a short break. Let Jeff run free after showing us at least one of his cats. Yeah, so let's start in on that. And if you have questions that you want to ask about either a new light or server infrastructure, please make sure you get them in chat now, so that we can answer those before Jeff goes. And if you don't get them in chat now, Kenton will answer you after the fact. But
I'll probably just be
like
PMing him the answers. It's fine.
Jeff is more fun anyway. I'd rather get my answers from Jeff.
Aw. Kenton, don't
true.
knock yourself.
No,
This
that's no.
Oh no, it wasn't. There was no ill will directed at me
you
at all.
like yourself very much.
Yeah,
but you also like Jeff.
Yes,
that's fair. I can make sense of that. All right. What is next for the API? This is a question from the Aaron. And before we answer this question, I have a question for the two developers in the room. Does the A in API stand for the Aaron?
Yes, the Aaron programming interface is actually what that means.
That makes sense.
A lot of people have misconceptions application, but no, it is actually just Aaron.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Well, what's next for the Aaron programming interface?
So we've updated actually just recently the infrastructure that the API servers run on. Code this week actually went out there was a hanging issue that every once in a while, if you were in a certain game at a certain time, and the stars aligned and the gravity of the planets were just right, it would make your API hang. We believe we have a resolution that's been sent out. We are monitoring the result of that. A new light, the release with updated dynamic lighting, has API updates for the new lighting and vision systems because the way that those changed, we needed to update the API. So we're going to be, actually, I believe that's out on the dev server already, correct?
Indeed, it is.
Great.
You can access those properties with the API now.
Yeah. And those are the things that I can tell you for sure that are coming out right now. That's the end of the question. That's the end of my answer. Yeah. Sorry, my inflection didn't match my my how much question was left, and that's on me.
Fair enough. Well, then next up we have Burb asking. Well, actually, Burb is asking on behalf of their players. Are there any updates soon that will help performance on low-end computers for animated tokens in the VTT?
So short answer, yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're working on behind the scenes improvements constantly on how we're rendering stuff on the virtual tabletop, and as well like how the virtual tabletop's burden on your browser impacts your experience. So working on a lot of optimization in the realm of just increasing your browser's ability to function while you're in there, especially if you have a lot of characters in the game. But also, with a new light, we have a lot of performance improvements by using hardware acceleration to do a lot of those things that you've been doing previously with Advanced Fog of War.
Which will free up a lot of space.
Yeah, we are always trying to improve the performance all across the board in ways that aren't like really shiny or the term marketable comes to mind, but I was hoping for something less corporate.
Yeah, I think the key here is we've really taken an approach here with whenever we're going to the VTT to change stuff, we are working really hard to architect it in a way that it is going to be performant on as many machines as possible, and up to date with modern JavaScript standards. So in that way, that is one of the ways that a little bit at a time we're chipping away at the performance issues that some folks may be having on the VTT.
It's the same mindset that I have being stuck in my house of like, if I go into the kitchen and start cleaning dishes, then I also am like, well, what if I rearrange these pots? And if I start rearranging the pots, like, well, what if I, clean the surface of the stove or something like that? So basically, like while we're in the coding kitchen, we look around and see what else we can fix in that kitchen.
Yeah, if the kitchen were didn't need to adhere to the laws of physics, and if you moved a
haven't seen
pot,
my
it could
kitchen.
crash the refrigerator.
Yeah. It's important while you clean the kitchen that the kitchen also continues to look exactly the same.
I was telling
that
Jeff
can be quite
before
the
we started
balancing
that
act.
I did set a tiny fire in my kitchen this week, so tiny. And I'm fine. I'm distinctly not on fire at this moment. But yeah.
Fires happen in kitchens. That's why you need fire extinguishers in kitchens.
Mm-hmm. Wise words from Kenton.
The more you know. Oh, wait.
Little rainbow and star. Please picture it for me.
Yeah, there it is.
That was a hardware bug with Soraya's oven.
Yes, please fix the bug with my oven.
Did you have hardware acceleration turned on in your oven?
I think I did. Was that the issue? Do I need to turn off hardware acceleration? Okay, all right. I'll go turn off hardware acceleration in my oven right now.
And I keep it on, but just make sure that you have the GPU in there.
Oh, okay. All right. So I need to upgrade the GPU. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's going to be a little hard because, has it come down from all the Bitcoin mining?
Well, we're not supposed to tell anyone about that, Soraya.
No, yeah.
I'm very seriously. No one's Bitcoin mining.
Yes.
Well, actually, I might be, but not on your machines.
Okay. On that totally not suspicious note, let's go to the next question, which is from Bekradan. Now that the new light engine is being implemented, when are we likely to get a weather layer?
So after a new light, after the new lighting engine is out and complete, that is the top request on suggestions and ideas, and I can't wait to start working on that. The question is when, and that's always a difficult answer to give. But we didn't do it to make sure. We didn't do it when we planned. We pushed off our plans in order to make sure that the performance of the virtual tabletop wouldn't catch a tiny fire in when we added a weather layer, an overhead layer. So as we make those improvements and roll those out with a new light, we'll be ready to see how much more optimization we need to do in order to deliver that.
Cool.
That was diplomatic, right?
Yeah.
Great. Very soon. I hope very soon.
Next.
Yeah.
TM.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I want to say next because there are things.
You can say next all you want, Soraya.
I can say next.
Because in the end, it's me who schedules things, right? Yeah.
I say next, y'all. It means nothing. Steve, aka DM Steve, aka Clem, who has many names, asks, would you please add transparent but impassable objects to dynamic lighting? Like windows, I'm assuming.
This is a good question.
Yeah, this is another highly voted suggestion that's on the suggestions and ideas. Ready for your vote, Steve, or DM Steve, or Clem.
Or anyone listening who agrees with Steve, or DM
absolutely.
Steve, or Clem.
And I don't mean to like badger the point about these, but the suggestions and ideas are a great place to have conversation about these topics. And transparent but impassable objects can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And when we get to hear all those different ideas and expectations and the requirements that people have to make it work for their game, it makes the thing that we actually deliver, the feature when it comes out, much better. So that's why I always push people to weigh in there.
Yeah, I expect you might have a similar answer there.
You can talk back at us by going to the suggestions forum and telling us how would you use this feature?
Yes.
Yeah, and I must emphasize that Kenton is being like super sincere when I talk to him. He's all over the suggestion ideas for him. We really, really like that thing, and I think Kenton likes it the most. Well, out of everyone here, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably, yeah.
It's my favorite. Like, do we have other pieces of does Roll20 have other things?
No,
I don't think
suggestions for him.
That's like if there were hours, like
it's
my playtime hours.
That's all about going and clicking little upvotes and then redistributing your upvotes.
Yep. Writing things down, thinking how they fit with other things that have been written down.
Yeah,
that's the game that I play. Yeah, it's fun.
You're idle. Do it. Okay. Then the Lopin asks, can we get more than 3 bubbles around tokens? 3 is not enough to track all the things I need to track.
Oh man, I love this. I love this question so much. I would love to get this in the suggestions and ideas. Get that posted there so we can start talking, start a conversation about it. I made notes about this question and then said them in the previous question. So I'll say again, when these get in here, especially the Lopin, I'd really like to figure out how you'd like that to work. Do you just want 360 bubbles to pop up because that's how many things you need, or less than that? One for every degree.
What are you using it for? Even if it's very granular in your case, like I'm using it to track HP and mana and wound levels, and I'm out of ideas. But like, even if it's a very granular in this specific system, I need to track these 6 things.
Yeah.
That helps us shape and scope.
Because there may be other ways to do that are more effective for you. Yeah. I was about to give my
your ex-wife.
Yeah.
Don't let him. Yep. Not this time. And then, okay, so I'm going to move you along. Oops, except I hit the wrong button. There we go. Eponymous asks, can you please make configuring tokens attached to character sheets more obvious and natural? Please. I'm with Eponymous on this one.
I saw your note here, Soraya. I agree. Kenton, please help us.
That's
on your only
my
hope.
note.
Yeah. I love the idea. We are digging into improvements on the virtual tabletop and the planets that orbit the virtual tabletop right now, planning for development soon, TM, to make the entire process easier and easier for everyone to understand, and a little bit more, just going back through and readdressing those the processes that were put into place and making sure that they all fit together now the same way, or better than when they were originally designed. So yeah, cool. Not only do I love this idea as well, and as I'm digging into those improvements, I'll make sure that this is specifically added into my list to research as well. And Soraya, can I talk to you about how you'd like to see that happen when the time comes?
Gosh, yes. Yes. I would love to have this conversation.
And Eponymous, make sure that those are that suggestion gets added. Sounds like you have no trouble getting the votes.
Yeah, you would definitely get my vote. I have a couple that I'm sitting on. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to switch over. So we are at the end of the pre-submitted questions that related to stuff that Jeff works on. And so as promised, I am going to switch us over to chat questions that are specifically aimed at stuff that Jeff can answer for you. So we're going to answer a couple of those. Then we're going to take a small midstream break and come back with Kenton and myself to finish the pre-submitted questions and other chat questions. So Andreas J. asks, after the new dynamic lighting system is released, what's the next feature that will get worked on related to dynamic lighting and vision? I think we might have answered that.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about an overhead layer for sure, and I think that is definitely that is up there. That is definitely up there.
Yeah, it's hard for us to say anything that's going to come next year. We're really focused on doing feature parity and getting it to work the way you expect it to, as compared to on production right now. So we're hitting that really hard, but this framework we built has given us a lot of different opportunities, and we are definitely going to be considering all of the suggestions and ideas and opinions when we decide to improve and iterate on that system.
Yeah, and for sure, that is definitely up there. I think that there's some other improvements, like the invisible lines. That's not necessarily invisible. How did the person who asked the question phrase it?
Transparent but impassable.
Yes, transparent but impassable. Those are another thing that people really want, which may be a little bit easier to implement, and so that may come out before. Where those plans are in the works still, and depend heavily on the new lighting system and the bugs that we know about and the bugs that we don't know about yet.
Bugs that we're gonna find.
So. Yes. Yes.
All right. Let's see. The next Jeff question is from Saragon. Will there be any changes with API lighting interactions?
Not only
Yes.
will. Oh yeah. Sorry, Jeff.
I mean, you can answer. It's okay.
Yes. They are in the pro form now. If you go to the bug, the report form, what does Stephanie call that? My brain just went completely.
I don't know what you're referencing.
Pro forum that has all the new light stuff in it. We actually have documentation. Yes, the bug thread. Thank you.
The low-hanging
that has,
fruit. Okay.
Yeah, that has the API documentation for the new system in there, and on the dev server, that information or that system is up and ready to be played with. You can start writing things for your one-click API scripts. That's ready to go.
Indeed.
Okay. Corey Hickson, a question from another developer, if you don't mind them asking. What tech stack are you using?
Lots of different ones.
JavaScript, Ruby.
Yeah, I'll say that our server runs on the Padrino framework. If you know what that is, it's,
I know all
pretty
about
cool.
that.
So we're running on Ruby, and JavaScript is our main thing for the VTT. There's a whole lot else up and down. Our role servers and API servers. We've got those running in little nodelets on Docker. All kinds of fun stuff that I
the
can't
API
get too much
sandbox
detail about. But
is Node correct, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of JavaScript.
Yeah, a lot of JavaScript. And lots of Ruby, which we're taking a lot of work on. Giving a lot of hard passes and coverage on improving that Ruby code too, which is really fun.
All right. Those are all the questions that I have seen that are Jeff directed. So I think we're going to take our little break now. Let Jeff go off and do Jeff things. And I will switch us over to a new break window. And just for y'all, I wanted to make.
You want to demand my cat?
Yes, thank you. I demand your cat.
Yeah,
and
that is
if
the only
there
pet.
are any questions that I've missed for Jeff, mods, please let me know whilst we are waiting for the cat.
Here's Gilgamesh.
Hi, Gilgamesh.
What are you doing? Hi.
Aw, are you a good king?
He is the king of kings. He's very cuddly.
He is a very cuddly king.
Mm-hmm. He might attack me here soon, though. He's very playful too.
That's very Gilgamesh-like. Very cuddly until he just attacks you.
Yeah. Gil says bye. All right, Gil.
Bye, Gil.
And bye everybody. It's been fun to be here.
Bye, Jeff. Thanks.
Jeff, does Gilgamesh have the bard feat that allows it to give you a help action?
Yes. Yeah. And it's pretty overpowered actually.
Gilgamesh OP. You heard it here first. All right. Enjoy the music. I got some new music for our midstream break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hello! We
Hi
are
again.
back. I don't know if my music worked, but everything else seems to have. So we can get back to some questions. And thank you to those who welcomed us back. Let's see here. My questions are being a little bit wonky. Give me a second to tell them to stop being naughty. Here we go. Bingo! Music was intense and inspiring. Yes, that's what I was hoping for. That's our battle theme. Uh-oh, I don't hear you, Kenton.
That was my fault. That was my fault. Yeah. I just said I was not prepared for battle, and ironically, my
You were
mute was
not.
on at the same time. So
Yeah.
that's great.
So you
Good
actually
job,
were
Kenton.
not. Proud of you. Okay. I think, yes, okay, so Darsh and Anonymous had the same question. Will we see all of Pathfinder First Edition and Starfinder added to the marketplace at some point? At this time, we do not have plans to submit all of Pathfinder First Edition content to the Roll20 marketplace. We do have Rise of the Runelords and War for the Crown adventure paths, as well as a fully converted bestiary. We just finished up our first adventure path release for Starfinder, and we'll be releasing more Starfinder books this year. We'll also have more information about that once we're closer to release. So stay tuned on Starfinder. For Pathfinder First Edition, we have Rise of the Runelords and War for the Crown again, but that's what we've got. All right. Oh, my goodness. A lot of people had this question. And this is the question that I kind of preempted earlier, but it's a big announcement, so it is certainly worth restating. For the sake of James, Corinne, Cody, Jimmy, Philip, Noah, Bramble, and Jordan, when will more Paizo, specifically Pathfinder 2 edition, material, Pathfinder 2nd edition material be added to the marketplace? Let's see, well, I don't need to look for my notes on that answer. I just told y'all. So we are going to have the current extinction path, the Extinction Curse. That's it. The Extinction Curse adventure path will release in a bundle in June of this year. After that, we will be releasing day and date with new chapters of every new adventure path for Pathfinder 2nd edition moving forward. So starting in July 2020, we will have day and date releases with every chapter of the adventure paths. I think Corinne had an additional question in this list. They were asking about Scarred Lands. That's something that's published by Onyx Path, and they can submit it if they like. Just tell them as the publisher to come talk to us, I suppose. They also wanted to know about custom compendiums and music purchases on the marketplace, which I'm going to throw to you, Kenton.
Custom compendiums are a thing that is in suggestions and ideas, something we definitely are interested in supporting, and the compendium itself is we have a lot of ideas for how to do that. We don't have any concrete plans on doing that right now, but we have been improving the compendium actually over the past week or so, and its performance both in game and out of game, and it's something that we're excited about building out even further beyond the feature set that exists right now.
Cool. All right. Well, Nolan. Nolan asks, does the 5 million users count banned, canceled, spam, and duplicate accounts? I'm laughing because I'm pretty sure that this Nolan is Nolan T. Jones, managing partner of Roll20, who certainly has an interest in this area. If it's another Nolan who happens to have the same interests as our Nolan, then maybe y'all should meet and become friends. But Kenton, does that 5 million user count include banned, canceled, spam, and deleted accounts?
Nope. It doesn't.
There you go. So we made sure that when we counted up to 5 million users that we were counting actual users. So those numbers are not inflated by any of those other types of accounts. 5 million. Welcome to the community.
That's like 1,000 thousands.
I'll take your word for it. Boy Genius asks, what are some of the long-term plans for Roll20, as in any plans for 5 or 10 years down the road?
I saw this question when I was making notes, and like my brain went.
Dog petting simulator.
I mean, that's I didn't want to just put it out there, but but
I
Soraya,
think it's time to let the people know.
The joke that I have is time travel, because I could use that for a lot of sticky situations. Get some time travel in, and yeah.
I don't think there's any situation that you could solve by time travel that you could not solve by just petting a dog, right? Like, you're worried about the world and the universe, pet a dog. You feel better now, don't you?
And there's much less chance of space-time continuum breaking down.
Exactly.
Which is a constant fear. Like, my two biggest fears are space-time continuum problems and quicksand. And
I feel like if a space-time continuum breaks down, like in a significant way, we won't notice. Like, we'll either shift to whatever the new reality is without being aware that the reality has changed, vis-a-vis Berenstain Bears, or we'll just die.
The what bears?
Berenstain Bears.
or we'll just die.
just saying. Just putting that out there.
Yep.
Maybe you can not be afraid of that, because
a message of hope from Soraya.
You're welcome.
At Roll20.
All right. So, but for the question from Boy Genius, what are some long-term plans?
Did we not answer that?
We did not.
Okay. Well, I mean, Roll20 is like 7 years old. I try to do this math. 2012, yeah. So 8 years old. I'm pretty sure that I've heard Nolan, Richard, and Riley all say at various times that they had no idea that this is where they'd be in 8 years, 7 or 8 years. And so, therefore, I don't feel like any answer I could give at this point would at all encapsulate or capture where we will be in the future. So, the weather layer would be...
That'll be a thing. Hang in there, Boy Genius.
And much more. And much more. And we plan to be here in that amount of time as well.
I think that's actually a really important plan.
Yeah.
Planning for longevity does change. Like, you're not doing the what's the word in warfare where you like burn everything? Like, you get your use and then you burn it down. We're not doing that. We're here to stay.
There's just a lot of dark places you've gone on the stream. Like, normally I'm pillage. Yes, thank you, chat. Pillage. Yeah. Yeah,
we're surrounded by bright pinks and purples, and somehow managing to be dark.
Normally I'm the evil one, but you're taking my place, and so I feel like I have to be good.
Oh, cool.
Alignment shift? I don't know.
I like that. I like that I can change your alignment simply by changing mine. It implies that I am really the power in charge of this.
Are we a force dyad? Is that what just happened?
Okay. We probably should answer questions instead of goofing.
I don't know. This is working pretty well for me.
Yeah, it always works pretty well for me too. Billy asks, how do you choose which features to implement on Roll20? Which is right up a product director's alley.
Hey, that's my job. We listen to the community. We read the forums. The suggestions and ideas is kind of the on the nose place where those things happen. But we also look at bug forums and everywhere else that's coming in. We look at the trouble tickets like support desk and what people are asking for there. We do user research by seeing what features get used and how they get used. We listen to the world at large and look at the marketplace and what people are doing and asking for from the tools they use to play tabletop games, and figure out how to make those virtual in the best and most efficient way possible.
Yeah. So it's a complicated series of things that we evaluate, I think, is perhaps a summary.
The videos on YouTube where like there's stuff that happens. I
have seen a few YouTube videos where stuff happens.
Yes. They're very good. Have you heard about this website called YouTube? They have videos where stuff happens. It's the the things, complicated machines.
Oh, Rube Goldberg machines.
Thank you. I always want to say Venn diagram, and I know that that's wrong, but it's just what sticks in my head. Rube Goldberg. It's
Venn
kind of a
diagram
Rube
is Vin
Goldberg.
Diesel's brother, right?
Yes, it's cousin. Cousin, yeah.
Okay. Dressbar reminds us that in addition, one other part of the complicated Rube Goldberg machine that is deciding what comes up is that the XP team is constantly tapping on your shoulder as well.
Yeah, that's true.
This is what we're seeing from users and reports.
I could not do my job without the XP team. I mean, I would say unsung heroes, but I think it's just not sung enough. Yeah, yeah, same.
The two most common topics for me to sing about is one, my dogs, and two, the XP team, just as I'm walking around my house.
And they're both adorable.
They are both adorable. Love you, XP.
The XP team, and yeah.
Okay. I don't think we can really give you a more specific answer than that, Billy, because there really are that many variables that go into it. But rest assured that we are listening to user input through a lot of different areas. So if you've got them, the most, I guess, direct one is through the suggestions and ideas forum, which is apparently the theme of this month's show.
I mean, I feel like that's the theme of almost every show. Everybody wants something cool, and I want to give it to them indirectly through a development team.
I want cool things directly. Give them. Okay. Carver asks, would you be able to create a D&D marketplace bundle for folks who bought the player bundle, decided they wanted to try GM work, and don't want to buy a second player's handbook? So, unfortunately, at the moment, no. We don't have the ability to do partial discounts based on already owned products. That said, my personal recommendation, and this is just me, would be to check out the Monster Bundle, which doesn't have the same overlap with the Player's Handbook, because that is still a great GM resource that will give you a ton of monsters to play with. If you wanted the DM Bundle because of the Essentials Kit adventures that come with it, you can also buy those separately at $5 a pop. It's not as efficient if you keep going down that road, like if you buy each of them at $5 a pop. I mean, it winds up being $20 US. But if you're trying the GM role and you aren't sure if it suits you yet, that's a nice way to dip your toe in relatively cheaply, and then you can decide if you want to expand outwards with something like the Monster Bundle or something like that. But yeah, the Monster Bundle has several books in common with the GM bundle that you are talking about, but it does not have the overlap with the Player's Handbook. So
I would also add that there's quite a few really good resources in the marketplace that aren't necessarily published by Wizards of the Coast or aren't D&D, but run on the 5e system. So if you're just getting started, and a couple of those, or at least one, thinking on my feet
Odyssey
here,
of the Dragon Lords.
Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, yeah, really great. Apparently, I've heard good things. But also, the Master's Vault is free for all Roll20 users, and you can pop that in and run that. I've actually done that for a couple different groups to get them started, or to get me started when I wanted to try something new. So that may be a really good, another really good resource.
As well as the free Wildmount adventure that we were talking about earlier.
Yes, there's another great one.
Mods, can I ask you to drop that link in chat one more time? I don't know if Carver is here today, but hopefully we'll get this message to you, Carver. We'll send it out into the universe. All right. Ken, it's like these get goofier when they get long.
Slumber party jokes, I think is what it was called. Yeah.
I like it. Roll20 Slumber Party. Let's rebrand this thing.
Can I wear pajamas?
Yes.
Okay.
We work from home. We're almost legally required to wear our pajamas. Mitchell asks, will we ever see nested folders in the page toolbar?
We will see updates to the page toolbar, which is the thing that goes across the top of your screen in the virtual tabletop, and you can move the players in between different pages in that way. We will see updates to that, and we will see organizational updates to that. I don't want to commit to nested folders right now, because what if we find another like quantum folders or something like that? We wouldn't want to. Yeah, I mean that's not a thing.
No,
but
I like it.
What if it was a thing? Okay, quantum folders. Well, we already have quantum roll. We should come up with like
I don't know. I mean, there's some consistency in our branding there. Let's patent it just in case.
That'd be trademark,
Trademarking.
technically.
You're right.
But yeah,
You're right. Let's
quantum
trademark
folders. It is and isn't a thing. Thank you.
Oh, Vinny, thank you. I'm going to be thinking about that joke all night. It's very good.
It exists between every state in between a thing and not a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
David asks, would it be possible to introduce a way to enter custom fonts or a wider collection of them anytime soon?
We did. We gave character sheet authors a way to include Google Fonts last month.
But that just applies to Sheets, right?
Well, so it applies to Sheets, but once it's in Sheets, you can use it in other places of the game, that sheet is loaded into. So we did kind of second, but yeah, we want to increase the number of fonts that we have access to, and this was a good way to see what people used and liked and had interest in. Fonts on the web are not straightforward, and so it will never. I cannot imagine a reality in which it will be as simple as adding your own font for licensing issues, as well as technical issues that go along with that. So, long way around on that kind of question, but it's kind of a difficult question to be short way around on.
Yeah. So maybe not any custom font you want to upload, but a wider collection of them is certainly possible. Like it's been
absolutely.
We've done it for character sheet creators. Are there any plans to? I suspect David might be interested in hearing whether this can ever be expanded to things like when you're just a GM creating a character sheet, or whether you're a player in chat and you want your character to speak in Comic Sans or something.
That would be another step past what we're talking about now. So custom, or not custom fonts, but additional fonts in things like the handouts to be used to create those things would be the step beyond what we have right now. Right now, character sheet authors, the people who create the character sheets, are a wonderful community of people who make it easier to play on Roll20 because they love a certain game, and our own user collaboration team who builds the official Roll20 sheets can add in Google fonts presently now. Once those Google fonts are added into the character sheet, they can be used in other places throughout the game. So a roll template, for example, you can use the Google fonts that are included in a sheet at the same time. Did I make that more or less confusing?
It makes sense to me, but I've also heard you talk about it before, so hopefully it made sense to David as well without any of my previous context.
If not, rewind the video on demand and then watch it again, and then ask me next month.
Okay. V2 Blast, who I know was in the chat earlier, I don't know if they still are, says, I know Roll20 folks were in touch with the Lancer RPG designers. Has there been any progress? RE compendium access and other initiatives? So Massive Press has been in contact with us, but we'll leave any exciting announcements in their hands. So
yeah, works for me.
Keep an eye on Massive Press. Steve, aka DM Steve, aka Clem, returns to ask, where can I find pre-configured dungeons for LL or other OSR rules? Currently, we don't have official publishing relationships with any OSR creators, but we'd be happy to have them on the marketplace. Contact your favorite publishers so that they know you're interested and send them our way. Next question. Harley, when will you finally add the ability to edit and delete in-game messages?
Finally, we probably will never do delete for various reasons. Roles and role templates being the chat log being a standard of truth by which you can compare your game back to. However, as part of the virtual tabletop improvements that we're planning, I expect that we'll be able to change those from public to private, or like a whisper or a GM role in the soon times.
We're just making up our own language now, eh?
Sure.
Okay. Tom wants to know, how are you planning to make the game more accessible and inclusive to new players or people new to Roll20? That is a very good and timely question. We are currently working on both some new blog posts and some videos to help introduce new users to Roll20. You can check out the Roll20 tips to see some of what we're doing in that direction. We have some new tips videos, and that's just the beginning. We are working on a different set of videos that is specifically geared on things like, are you bringing your physical tabletop online, right? Like a GM starting video and a player starting video. So that is coming. This person also had a lot of comments about the looking for group system. Basically, they have not had very good luck finding games for them to play in D&D 2nd edition. So, Kenton, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the looking for group page.
This is a complicated question. Well, not the looking for group page, but the solution that they're looking for. We provide the marketplace, but we don't stock the shelves, is the way that I'd probably phrase that. I think the best way to find a game that you really want to play is to run it. That I wanted to make that sound more hopeful. But like run the games that you want to play, and then people will be able to play those. You build your little community out of the big community, and then go from there. I would love to see some enhancements to the way that the community can interact in that way, including all game systems, I suppose, is how I'll leave that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually I was rereading this, and Tom used to play D&D 2E, is now trying to get into D&D 5E.
Okay.
But doesn't feel like they are conversant enough in either 5E or Roll20, both of which they're new to run their own game. And so, referring back to earlier when I was saying like we're working on videos to help with that, I hope that actually helps. I genuinely recommend grabbing something from the marketplace or picking up one of the free adventures. The Master's Vault and the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount Adventure are both set in D&D 5e, and both of those are free. So you can pick those up and try learning that way, and it's far less taxing to try and learn how to GM when things like the maps and the tokens have already been set up for you. So I would recommend that, and also, like I said, keep an eye out for new videos because we are cognizant of that and trying to do more.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Last pre-submitted question. Kenton, would you please read this person's name for me?
Be my quarantine.
What are the steps someone should take to be able to upload their own core book on the marketplace on Roll20? Our helpful community manager, Winged Lioness, in the chat will post a link to the page that explains how to get set up as a marketplace creator. If you are working on a core book or even like a quest module or anything like that, use that page, apply to be a marketplace creator with us. This is the last question I have on my little list, but I had one written down from somewhere. So I can't put it on the screen, basically. I must have missed an upload that I meant to do. But there was one final question, actually, from Titus. The eternal question. When will we see Out of the Abyss? Oh, sorry, I was out of camera. And I talked to our director of licensing about this, and I quote, "Oh, I think you'll be hearing some information about that soon. We're currently working that out between us and Demogorgon. So, stay tuned." All right. Yeah, I think I missed the upload, Bunny. I'm sure you have it. I just missed it. Sorry, I'm talking to our CM. But anyway, chat questions time. We've got a lot because we've been here a while. And I am going to go back and try and find them. Give me a shove, helpful moderators if I miss one. But going all the way back to almost when we started, actually, no, we answered that. Going all the way back to almost when we started, here's another one from Wrath Koros. Is there a date for when we get the Pathfinder 2nd Edition setting books like the Lost Omens Character Guide and the Lost Omens Gods and Magic on the marketplace? So, normally, when I do these, I get to have our Director of Licensing whispering in my ear about the answers to these questions, but I do not have them. So, unfortunately, I do not have news for you about that. Again, I can say that we have the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Bestiary 2 will be opening for pre-orders tomorrow. And we have Adventure Paths coming, first one big bundle in June, and then one every month starting in July. So that's what I can tell you right now about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. All right. Kenton, putting you on the spot. In the January roundtable, you said Roll20 would become 20% more twitchier. Could you elaborate on what you meant or any updates to this?
That is bad grammar. And if I actually did say that, I apologize. 20% more twitchier. It should be 20% twitchier or 20% more twitchy.
I did think that, but I wasn't going to call you out. Thank you for calling yourself to account.
I mean, if we can't hold ourselves to grammar, then I don't know.
Then what even is the point?
Right. We can I elaborate on what I meant or any updates to this? I don't have any updates to what I meant, and I meant what I said. I don't know what else to say.
I like it. No, I like this endless circle that we've got going on.
I'm sorry for. I apologize that I don't have more specifics to share. Soon,
in
maybe
fairness,
I will.
I'm pretty sure you said we would become 20% more twitchier in 2020, so you've still got some time.
Yeah, I've got like
10
at
minutes.
least, yeah, at least 10 minutes.
Okay. We have a question from Keith Curtis. Hello there, Keith. Now that the official Roll20 character sheets are on the proprietary server, is there any way for users to reliably track issues and resolutions? The official threads are spotty and incomplete, which can cause frustration when trying to solve a problem. I know that there is intention for XP to get in there and gather feedback and answer questions. Kenton, I don't know if you have further insight on this.
At this point, the insight that I have is the bug threads and tracking issues on GitHub. Both of those weren't very good solutions. The bugs and the character sheet forms exist, and so it kind of works to collect those there. But I mean, I trust Keith, and Keith is saying that that's a problem. So we need to do something there. I also want to say that on the official Roll20 sheets, we're not trying to keep those private after they're launched. It's just we haven't had a good way to get those released in the same way. The software is magic, and a black magic as well. And so doing that in a way that doesn't break everything always, but also allows us to do the development without giving everything away. Giving away things that we can't talk about yet has become the biggest problem for us. Like getting day and date releases with publishers and those kinds of things has been the reason why we move those to a private repository to start with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we moved into a private repository to try and maintain some of the licensing agreements that we have, for example, about keeping updates, under our hats until the announcement's official. But we're realizing now that some of the changes that we've made there are not meeting user needs, so we have to reevaluate. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Zathos of Aricia asks nothing on Pathfinder Society 2 scenarios, and as a follow-up, Will Roll20 create and sell Pathfinder Society Second Edition scenarios? Would ask the same question for Starfinder Society scenarios as well. Honestly, we have just now caught up with, or not even caught up with, we've just now started to do Adventurers League for D&D. I would say that is and that has it's taken us a while to get to that point with D&D, which is something that we support on the regular. We are building up our Pathfinder second edition support, but we really want to start with that focus on getting those adventure paths stay in date. So I don't have any news yet about Pathfinder Society scenarios. Okay. Let's see. Fretboard Strategies asks, "Hey devs, can you have standard spell templates built into people's journals when they pick spell casters?" And they had a little bit of a conversation with Dressbar in the chat to try and figure out the details, Kenton, but I don't understand any of it.
Yeah,
So
I was kind of reading through that. When we talk about spell templates, primarily my brain goes to Roll20 is a system agnostic platform, and we do that on purpose so that you can play anything on Roll20 and anything can be played on Roll20. We have the ruler tool, which doesn't work for every scenario that that Fretboard Strategies is talking about here, but does work for a whole bunch of them. I'm saying words as I'm reading, and so yeah, there are in the marketplace as well some really cool, and some of them are even animated things. What about the
like
tokens
spell,
or
yeah.
yeah.
I forget what they're called right now too, but there are in the Roll20 marketplace there are a number of creators who have made I guess they're spell templates, but like visual, like if you have a fireball, you can put it here and stretch it across the however many squares it's supposed to cover. It makes it really pretty.
Yeah, and so there is that. There is the API sandbox that can do some interesting things with the FX system that's built into Roll20. And I just saw a message from Miles, so let me see if that clarifies. I think any direct or any problems could, I'd say, pop to suggestions and ideas and spend a vote and see what kind of things come around to that about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Fretboard Strategies already has the animated token spells, but they're not formatted necessarily to the specifications, which, yeah, like if your fireball is a 30-foot diameter or something, when you drag the spell on, the item doesn't know that yet. So,
yeah.
But I think what the question we're getting here is there a better way to communicate what players are trying to do with their character? Is that accurate? Like to show AoEs and stuff?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But
I'm going to go back to our
some
theme then.
Yeah.
Our theme of the month, which is put it on the suggestions forum, so that way we can explore and hear you and other users explore various expectations that you have here about I would use it to do this, I would use it to do that, right? That really helps us disentangle, and you can see from our faces now we're trying to wrap our heads around. I think we get the basic question, can we show people's spell AoEs or something like that? Right. But it really helps us to dive down into the specifics if you put that on the suggestions forum with these examples that we can pull through, and then we can start thinking about how do we make that a system, if we can make that a system.
And there are several different systems that are part of that. The auras, all tokens have auras, so you can do a big area effect spell with an aura that lasts, or you can measure it out with a shape by drawing that on the virtual tabletop. There are the ruler that you can move. You can draw lines on that. I always think of it first as how I would do this on a vinyl mat spread across my my dining room table, and then figure out how to convert that into a virtual environment. But there's some cooler ways to do that too. Yeah.
All right. Fretboard Strategies had another question. Can Curse of Strahd finally have the Haunted One background installed? It's currently not in the Charactermancer. So a lot of the adventures that have come out, especially prior to, if we release the adventure prior to the release of the Charactermancer, there are backgrounds that may be special and unique to that adventure that we have not integrated into the Charactermancer. It's not a high priority right now. Partially because one of the things that we are aware that needs to happen with the Charactermancer is an ability to filter. So if you have, as a Roll20 employee, I have a lot of D&T source books. So if you have a bunch of those, it gets onerous to scroll through every single one of them. So we definitely have to implement that better infrastructure before we can look at expanding and adding all of these little extras. But that might be something down the road. For now, you'll have to do it by hand, but the information for the background is part of the purchase that you make with Curse of Strahd. I think Fretboard is probably aware of this because Fretboard seems to know what's up. But all of the content from the book is going to be part of your module. It might not necessarily interact with the Charactermancer, but you can look it up in your journal and then use that to say, okay, well, this background gives me X, Y, and Z, and then add that manually. One of the reasons we built the Charactermancer the way we did is you can actually customize it. Like, it knows the rules that will help you build your character. But if you have something special, whether it's a homebrew or a background that is, not supported yet by the Charactermancer, you can go and edit those. So you can customize that way. Okay. Fretboard Strategies also wants to know, can the character...
Well, that's a turkey. Fretboard three. It's a turkey. 3 fretboard strategy questions in a row. Is this a bowling joke? No, we're not going to. Okay.
It's a hat trick.
A hat trick. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know bowling, but I think I know hockey a little bit.
So bowling's the one with the pins that and a ball.
So anyways, their other question, their hat trick question is, can the Charactermancer be revamped and more automated with character abilities and spells? For example, some classes like Warlock Hexblade need a lot of work when having to apply all the new crit values to attacks when the feature is on and off, and other things with the Aasimar race while healing, etc., etc. Needs more automation is the summary here.
Yeah, this is a there are several different pieces within the source books for the Charactermancer that require some specialized customization that we don't have yet. Those are known issues, and as we go back in and refactor and work on those as we add additional intellectual property source books, etc., then that becomes a better question than on how we can support those. Definitely something we want to do. Want to get it all automated. So
sweet. And then our next question is from Arshwike. They want to ask about the weather again. They don't want to mess with the API if we are planning on releasing weather in a month or two. So they basically just want us to give them some detail about
anything that we do with anything that we do with like the weather layer, etc., is going to add a new I was going to say a new layer. It's going to zoom out. It'll be, a more meta view of how this works in the virtual tabletop. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do an API, it's probably going to look a lot different than whatever you would do for whatever you do with the weather layer on top of that too. So I mean, hey, programming is fun and hobby programming is fun. So I don't want to deny anyone some fun. Get in with the API and try it out and, mm-hmm. Mess around with it. It'll end up maybe it'll end up like my projects, which are 1/2 to 3/4 done at any given time. My hobby projects, I should say. Yeah.
I've seen some of Kenton's hobby projects. Then Arshwike broke the streak, but we do have another question from Fretboard. Can we have a DM rating system if they're being paid for a game so you can know what you're paying for, or a verified by Roll20 DM badge? In our case, it would be GM badge because we try to be general. We are considering strategies to allow folks to find games that may be a better fit, but we need to ensure we limit abuse of such a system. We don't want to invite a scenario where people get into an argument and so they, tank each other, like they go and tank somebody's DM rating or something like that. So there's a couple of strategies that we have to consider there. I think it's a fair question, and it's certainly something that we'll keep thinking about. We don't have a solution right now.
It requires some mental energy for sure that has not been put into play yet. So that's an excellent question. Yes, I don't feel like I added anything to that answer, but I gave you a break in talking for a second.
I appreciate you. Saragon wants to know, is there a way that I can buy codes for marketplace modules or bundles? Specifically, they're looking at gifting products because they work for a students' union, and they want to be able to give out prizes to people.
Yeah, there is a way to do that. So there's not a gift code, I guess, is the way to do it, to claim something in that way without working with Roll20 directly, probably on a much larger scale than what we're talking about here. But you can easily set up gifting if you know the email address. Pretty sure the email address.
The email address will do it, or if you know their Roll20 profile link, you can click directly on that to give away subscriptions.
That's that's how I'd say to do it right there.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Hi, Fretboard. Could there be an interactive widget for streamers to be able to have stats that talk with Roll20, which saves time for streamers?
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. All right, next question. Ezekiru, have we gone over what happened to the black and white character sheets for Pathfinder 2nd Edition? It was available and now it's not. I'm afraid I don't have insight into that. Kenton, are you?
I am unaware about why it's not either. But I'll make a note to myself to check that out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm seeing a few more in questions. Saragon followed up with a question about the codes or rather gifting subscription. Does that work if they don't have a Roll20 account already, though? No, but no. They can, if they win something and go create account, the account is free. I would hope that they're willing to create their account in order to get the free stuff. I would create an account for free stuff. So sorry it's not a perfect solution for you, Saragon, but appreciate the ask. Problem for you asks, social distancing has me considering online play for the first time ever. I have a lot to learn. Is there a good intro to the very basics? We are working on, I mentioned this earlier, we are working on some video content as well as some blog content right now, specifically to help people who are making that transition come over to Roll20 and ease it for them a little bit. I would definitely also recommend, if you go to our YouTube channel now, we have a series called Roll20 Tips. That's some really basic, lays out just like how to interact with the VTT. And if you wanted to get into more complex stuff, we have a lot of actual plays that you can see on our YouTube channel, including several that are GM walkthroughs and setups in a number of different systems. So whether you're the GM or your friend is the GM, you can send them that link and they can follow along. To create something.
I think another really good one is the crash course that's on the Help Center. It does a really good. There's videos mixed in with words, and I watch all my YouTube at like 2 times speed. I'm that terrible person.
I hate you.
But that's okay. I understand why. Ire is deserved. But it's broken up in such a way that you can skim it. You can find the thing that you're looking for and get to know the system a little bit, the platform a little bit better. And then I would say one of the most amazing things has happened, or one of the most amazing things to me has been watching the Roll20 community, all 5 million of these people coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, if you're looking at getting your game online, here's what I learned, and here's my experience, and here's the tips and tricks that I wish I would have known. I've seen blog posts and social media posts and videos, and everyone is so willing to help that it's
I love this community.
yeah, and there's a whole bunch of resources that are out there if you look up those. So,
and shout out to our Scrum Master Stephanie, who yesterday did a Twitch stream on her private channel to do exactly that, to help people learn how to move on to Roll20, because she is an expert. And I think the last question before Animal Times is there a Pathfinder 2nd edition Character Mancer in the works? From my understanding, there is. Kenton, do you have any information on that?
There is the answer that I have for that right now. Yeah. There's some there is.
Having just created a new character for a Pathfinder 2nd edition campaign, I feel ya. I wanted it very badly. We're working on it. So yes, there is one in the works. It will happen. We don't have any updates for you about that yet, though.
I feel like we missed a question. Maybe not.
All right. Can there be an easy way to have a web link for streamers to stream a part of Roll20 so that the audience can see what the GM wants them to see rather than the GM options?
I would say opening, you can have 2 different virtual tabletops open at the same time. So you can open up a player view as well as have your GM view. It takes up some more monitor real estate, but that's going to be the best way to do that for sure.
Yeah, cool. All right, we're at Animal Times. Kenton, do you have your chickens?
I don't.
Do you have your tortoise?
I don't have my tortoise either. It's wet here, and so the chickens are very muddy. And
yeah, I wouldn't want you to bring them in that case.
I don't live on a farm. I live in a city, right? But it sounds like.
Listen, you've made the pet choices that you did.
I did. That's
an
true.
echidna. Do you like my echidna?
I don't see it.
It's right here. This red.
Oh,
echidna.
now I see it. Yes.
His name is Knuckles.
The forced perspective was, and a famous echidna as well.
Unlike Sonic, he don't chuckle. But I have actual pets. Sorry, Knuckles, but you're not a pet. Kenton, you get to make the fateful choice for chat. I have 2 dogs, the one on the left and the one on the right. Which one will be picked up to see chat?
Left.
Okay, come here, little guy. Oofda. Hello, chat.
A Floof.
This is Isun. He very much wants his dinner, and he's been a very patient boy. He's so happy to see you all, because seeing you all means he will soon get the dinner he has long awaited. Aw. There you go. Dogs as required. Okay, Fluff, down you go. I will feed this guy dinner. Thank you, everyone. As I said, as we expected, this was an extra long one. There's a lot going on right now. Thank you all for hanging in there with us and bringing us your questions. We will see you next month for the next community roundtable, and bye-bye.